Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of
Hood
Rat
to
Head Rap. Straight up.
The first episode of 2025.
That's right. Starting early.
Starting early.
Real Nigga News Network.
Let's see how many episodes.
On CP time.
Okay. Yes, it is on CP time.
That's okay.
Let's see how many episodes we have.
Oh, we're going to have a whole heap. The way y'all been acting and carrying on behind all this shit, all this Trump shit.
Oh, God.
Y'all going to have to get some act right.
Ebony.
This is the National Act-Rite Administration. The Federal Act-Rite Administration. The FAA.
Get us together. FAAR.
Straight up.
How are you feeling? Emotional check-in. It's a new year. What is the year of?
The snake.
Snake. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I don't know what the year of the snake means, so everybody.
Happy Lunar New Year.
Happy Lunar New Year to everybody out there. Anybody know what the year of the snake signified?
Let
Put
us
me
know.
up on.
Yes.
I hope it portends something bright for our year and for our future.
Please, God.
I feel I'm engaged now, to a very lovely, lovely young tenderoni over here. So we are just recently engaged. So I think the year is starting off pretty well.
You did a good job.
Love, tender love so tender, holding me close to you. Baby, I surrender.
So when do we wedding plan?
But we're not talking about that. Okay. You just asked me how I was doing.
Should we have an episode about wedding planning?
No.
Like, you like the colors?
No, I'm okay. I'm all right. I'm all right. That's going to be a long way off from here.
It's not a long way off, doll.
But, for anybody out there that's just joining us, first of all, we Black. So the first thing you do is speak.
How you doing, everybody? We did already.
No, we didn't say hi, my name is nothing.
You didn't do intros, but you did speak.
We did. You're right. Because that's one thing
we said we were doing it differently. We said we do emotional check-in.
This is Black History Month. So first of all,
happy Black History Month.
Black History Month.
Blackity black is blackity blackity black.
First of all, happy Black History Year.
Yes.
That's how we do. Always. At all.
365.
You already know what it is.
Yeah.
You already know what it is. But
how are you feeling?
I'm just
introduce yourself and then say how you're feeling.
My name is Ebony. If you ain't listened, just go back to previous episodes for previous intros. We ain't got all that type of time. I use he, him pronouns. I'm from Deep East O. If you don't know, you can't go. Shout out 9800, all my people out there, all my family, all my friends, loved ones, the whole APTs. So straight up. And who are you?
Say your emotional check-in, doll.
Oh, I'm all right. I'm just keeping.
How you feeling?
I'm keeping my irons in the fire. That's all.
Mm-hmm.
You feel what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm Erica. Pronouns she, they.
You did not know what I meant.
I don't know what irons to the
fire. You just said okay.
What is irons to the fire?
I'm just keep my irons in the fire. I'm just trying to keep it lit.
What does that mean?
Keep going.
Oh. My name is Erica. She, they pronouns. I'm from Maryland and Puerto Rico. If you don't know, you can't go.
Ain't nobody trying to go over there to Maryland. Nobody trying to go.
7410. Shout out to the, how do you say, single family homes?
How are you?
I am happy. I'm really happy that we're engaged. That was really tender.
Yeah.
A really beautiful moment. I'm glad that we christened our home with that. That felt beautiful doing it there. I know you wanted to do it somewhere else.
I did.
The place we first met, but it was really perfect. And I cherish that. I said that in 2025, I was going to start junk journaling. And my first junk journal entry is going to be our engagement. I have not gotten to it yet, but I do intend to get to it. I also launched my first sex ed program, and it has been going full steam since about mid-January.
That's right.
So I just feel super proud, and I just so moved by the participants who are in this space. It has been really, really just amazing to be in community with folks and in conversation about sex ed and connecting it to the world, because this is sex ed is a racial issue. It's a imperialism issue.
Yes, it is.
It's a fat phobia issue. It's an ableism issue. Like it's in everything. So it has been really, really beautiful, to say the least.
The reception has been overwhelming. So thank you for all the support. And asking Erica, the central question is, what took you so damn long?
Yes, I thought you was already doing that.
Yeah.
So I really am just very thankful.
I'm proud to see you step out of all negative self-talk, imposter syndrome.
Thank you.
All white supremacists derive imposter syndrome that you need to be associated with a academy or associated with an institution in order for your work to be validated, when honestly the institution would not have been valid without the work that you did.
Thank you.
But that's a container. Your work is liberatory, and an oppressive container can't hold that.
Thank you.
Naturally.
Thank you.
So I'm proud to see you, whatever it took these 4 years, because you've been ruminating on this for about 4 or 5 years.
A long time. And it's true what you're saying. I have been like waiting for an academic institution, a higher ed institution to pick it up or to work with me on it rather than just launching it myself. Taking my own advice that you don't need these spaces. So I am grateful. And what I'm also very, very grateful for, it has released such a massive mental load off of my shoulders, is that I submitted essentially my final manuscript.
Yeah.
I submitted a manuscript after I was postpartum, about 6 months. We had just moved. We were in the midst of, we hadn't moved yet. We were just in the midst of a renovation. There was so much going on. And if no one will ever see that manuscript, that manuscript will not see the light of day.
Yeah.
But it was just all over the place. And something that I don't think is talked about enough is when you edit or when you write a book and they say, well, your first draft will likely be trash. It absolutely was. So getting to your final draft looks like lots of reviews. But what a lot of authors and revisions, a lot of authors that I respect have said that you can't edit an empty page. So that has been just very humbling. And this process has like very much pulled me apart. So I hope
and it wasn't trash.
It wasn't trash, but it wasn't good. It wasn't a final draft.
No,
and I thought that first draft was my final draft. So I have to make that clear. Yeah. I thought that could go on the shelves.
That's very Gemini. That's how I think. All my notes could be a book right now. This could be a book right now.
That probably could be a book.
Give a fuck.
So I'm happy that that's submitted. I'm excited for y'all to see that. Read it, for it to be on shelves.
Yes. For
it to be in people's hands. I'm like overwhelmed.
I'm biased. However, I had my eyes on the one thing. I mean, I don't know how people do their relationships and how motherfuckers relate to their partner or partners. I'm not a yes man type of person. So while I do champion Erica champion me. Erica can trust me because I'm not a yes man. I'm not going to ever tell you, ooh, yeah, babe, like, even though my mom says we do this with each other, where it's like, ooh, she's like, you can have a chinchilla on. Erica can be like, ooh, I love that, or some shit like that. However, it's really, I don't even have words really to describe what I've read so far. And just how monumental the scope and the magnitude of a book like this about sex and sexuality and about gender has not existed until she has wrote it. And this is not me being on the D. This is not me D-ride, dick ride, or not like that. This is me, my own C-ride, D-ride, whatever. This is my own objective. This is my own objective opinion as a person who, I guess you could call me a writer or fancy themselves as a writer.
I guess you could call me a writer.
Whatever the case may be, I have rigorous standards for what I read and for what I write.
And I thank you. I thank you. I will thank you in the book, and I thank you everywhere, because you have encouraged me for a very long time to focus on my book and stop focusing on these other things.
Yes.
You have supported me. You have read drafts. You have given me feedback. So I'm grateful for you for always.
You got to thank me
yes,
for that.
I do. Yes,
I was going to do it anyway.
Yes, I do.
I was going to do it anyway.
I know, but I still have to thank you.
Well, I appreciate it. I guess I receive it, but I'm really excited for this. It's going to change the world. And I think this world in need of some change.
I think so. I think so. For a long time.
Yes.
A long time.
So
and then other than that, I feel
your honest feelings now, not the podcasterly intro.
My honest feelings. I have been caught up in the collective anxiety with everyone else around Trump's first couple of, I guess this is now a couple of weeks in office, and the executive orders and the laws that he's trying to pass. I've been caught up in the mayhem of it all. I've also been doom scrolling like lots of other people and on my phone a lot where I needed to take a break. So I say all this to say that if you also feel anxious and overwhelmed, then you might need to just take a break from your phone for a little bit, because being inundated with all of that information and being expected to process it is a lot on our nervous system. So we do have to break. And I would say that even regardless of who's president, right? Like, it's important to take breaks and take a beat. So I did take a break, but I kept saying to Ebony, I want to get canned tomatoes, and we need to figure out how we can sleep in the basement.
Babe, what is it that you feel like you need to flee from that has not already existed? What wasn't already extant?
That's what you've been checking me on.
Prior to January 20th.
It's like, this has already been an issue, right? So being caught up in the blatantness of it all, because Trump is very blatant about the policies and where he stands in his racism. Right? He's very blatant with it. So I think what we're all collectively getting caught up in is the blatantness, the very clear, I don't want you here. I was just going to be a white country, even though every single last president works under that premise. They become president with the promise of protecting whiteness.
We talk about, I just mentioned a container. What is the United States government? What rights do people think that they have now that are protected under the law of a land that is a ethnostate? It's what you call a Herrenvolk democracy. All Herrenvolk means in German is master race. Herrenvolk, the term Herrenvolk ethics or Herrenvolk democracy emerged to describe essentially a utopian, a type of ethnocracy where one group has more rights than others. Is that not the United States?
But I think what you had me come back to was, we, for the last, not all of us, but for a good part of many of our lives, have witnessed, known about, maybe not known about, doesn't mean it wasn't happening, the dispossession and genocide of Palestinian people.
Yes.
That has been happening since 1946, before 1946. Has been the removal of Palestinians from their land. Now, in the last year or two, people becoming more aware of that. And this particular Democratic office, right? This party under Biden and Harris, doubling down on continuing Zionism and maintaining the apartheid state of Israel, sending billions of dollars in weapons to Israel, removing students and professors who were creating, doing resistance movements across the country, urging their universities to divest from the apartheid state of Israel, were removed, were fired, were expelled, were suspended. The fact that all of that happened, the fact that all of that happened, people were unable, and is happening, people were unable to connect the dots on how that would then impact people in the United States. When Harris was running, and she would not say out of her mouth that we are going to have a ceasefire, we are going to divest from the apartheid state of Israel. She would not say that.
Of course, Erica, she wouldn't.
But this is the thing.
She can't.
But this is my issue, though. Of course is what bothers me. Of course she wouldn't say that. So then what are we doing? You can't then trust anyone who is going to have a genocide in another country, is going to make sure that people who are rendered non-white, because that's what Palestinians are, that they're rendered non-white, they are
non-white, not rendered.
Oh, they're
non-white.
They're non-white, but they're also rendered non-white. You can become white. They're not. To be fair. No, they would never. It's only there are some Palestinians that could probably pass as white.
Some,
but they are rendered as non-white. That's what I mean.
Mostly,
yes. So how could you not connect that then is going to continue to happen in the United States? It's already happened, but that's the issue, is the amnesia That's the thing that is concerning to me, is that I'm caught up in the collective anxiety, right, or of Trump, of saying all these things. But everything he's saying has already been done to countless marginalized communities, especially Black folks.
Yes.
Everything he's saying has already been done. DEI has never, ever, ever protected Black people.
Yes.
Ever.
Yes.
Ever.
Affirmative action was already being repealed.
Yes, and any Black person can tell you if they ever worked in and around a diversity, equity, and inclusion office, or was even worked within it, or was near it, or whatever, they know damn well that they operate similar to HR. They uphold the institution.
I mean, DEI has been around, I think, prior to 2020, but with diversity and equity, they would just call it under some broad-based affirmative action plan, affirmative action programs at employee resource groups. Like, all of those things existed prior to, I guess you could say, the quote-unquote racial reckoning of 2020. However, this, I don't know if it's white people's renewed or newfound interest in DEI.
After the murder of George Floyd.
After the murder of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, the companies realized that in order, not just to assuage our guilt, because I don't attach emotions to corporations. I don't think they gave a fuck. No. I don't really think they cared. And it's evident by the fact that not only are they proudly announcing their divestment in DEI programs, but the programs weren't created in good faith anyway. So the point you were making is that somebody had to die for you to hire like 3 Black people to oversee and make sure and do checks and balances to make sure y'all not being racist to the point that it raises legal concerns or it raises concerns for y'all pockets and y'all business. So it was a way to make sure that that $1 trillion buying power that Black people have remains. I want to put this, I want to virtue signal that what is happening to Black people is deplorable for my business. Racism was not good it wasn't good for business at that point. And this even though it normally is.
And this is what you always say, exactly. And this is what you always say is like, people need to, well, one, I have to give you credit, is that this year I am not shopping, even though I've already failed at this by going to HomeSense, but I'm not shopping for clothes. It's in particular.
They ain't got no DEI probably.
What?
And no damn HomeSense.
No, they don't. But I'm not shopping for clothes this year. I want to shop my closet and be in my closet. If it's something that I need or that I want, I will buy it to rent or get it to rent. And then I'll return it, obviously it's a rental, or it'll be secondhand. Because continuing to feed this machine inside of consumerism is impacting our planet and is also deeply impacting our position in the world, right? And it's also deeply impacting other people. And I think what just occurred to me that we haven't talked about is the conversation around Palestine, people not being able to connect, works in the favor of capitalism. And that if you can't care about someone in Palestine and what's happening to Palestinians, then you also don't have to care about the sweatshops that make your clothes for 50 cents and you pay $500 for it, right? You don't have to actually care. It's to the benefit of a white supremacist police state that you don't care about other people, right? Yes. The community is not something you're supposed to think about. You're only supposed to think about yourself. So the collective anxiety is really rooted in individualism.
Yes.
Because it's, oh, well, I'm now worried about what my place is going to be. Oh, this looks bad on America and I'm an American and I don't want that idiot to be in office because now I look bad.
Yes.
But you were completely content with a Biden, with an Obama, with a Clinton. You are fine with a Harris, potentially. You are completely content with them, even though their policies are very similar to Trump. Why is Trump able to do all of this? Is what I keep sitting with. Why is nobody intervening? All AOC and all these other people, they got tweets, they got videos of, I'm disgusted, this is horrible, yada, yada, yada. Why is he able to do it? That's the root. It's what you said. He's trying to end SNAP. He's trying to end, obviously, DEI. He's trying to roll back all of these structures that support the most marginalized. And what you said was so perfect. Why do these structures even need to be in place? Why do you need it?
Supports the right. I don't even know if, and that's another thing.
But you need to say that point because it's important because it loses the focus
Yes, the fact that there is food scarcity, that there are food apartheids, that there is a need for WIC, something called women, infants, and children. Why would women, infants, and children be a vulnerable class in the United States and one of the most developed nations in the entire world? Why do we need EBT? Why don't people have enough money to eat? Like, we know the thing is, we already know the answers to these, but then we don't connect that. I don't know if this collective anxiety or the outrage machine around Trump, I don't know if that stops people from, I don't know if that limits I think that limits people's advocacy, in my opinion. I'm not trying to say that these fears are unfounded.
What limits people's advocacy? The
fears around Trump. The over obsession with Donald Trump and with Donald Trump's administration. Somebody messaged a long time ago about Project 2025, and I'm like, what about Project 1492? Yeah. Project 1619? Project 1862? Project 1830? I mean,
Project 2021.
1922. 2022. 2023. I mean, and the Heritage Foundation, who created those, they release those projects and those annual reports every year down there, or quarterly, where they essentially are telling you, the little white supremacist wet dream that you already know that they want to realize.
Yes.
And that they will reify using governmental and legislative policy. And they have the full backing and support of the United States government. In doing so, not just Republican governments.
Yes.
That's why I'm like, I need people to understand. I just want people to take a step back. And that's why I think the collective anxiety is it's reaction. It's a delayed reaction. It's a delayed response. Where did you think you lived?
That part.
Where you think you live? What country do you think this is?
That part.
When Kamala Harris said, when Senator Tim Scott, a racist, who's allowed to be a senator and be a part of our Congress and our government, when he asked her, do you think the United States is a racist country? She said, no.
No.
This is way before she ran. She said, no.
And what do y'all think the implications of her saying that would be?
She said, no, but we do have to deal with racism. How is it?
Make it make sense, sis. Stop trying to get power. Are you trying to get power, or are you trying to make a difference?
Well, no. Well, my whole point about that is that she's not going to be able to run should she not say that. Whether she really felt in her heart of hearts that the United States is actually a racist country, she could never enact that.
Why?
She could never act like it.
Why?
Because that would stop her from rising in the ranks of a system that is designed to uphold whiteness and white people.
So the collective anxiety, it's not silly, it's valid to feel how you feel. But if you can't even be honest about how a country is run, and your way you get power is to affirm white people and their nonsense around white supremacy, then it's all a sham. None of you are actually beneficial. All of you are out to get power. All of you are out to make sure that the class structures remain the same, because that's what this is about.
And that's what I'm saying. I want to humanize. I'm not saying the fears are unfounded. However, in the outrage and the angst and even the sort of knee-jerk misplaced upset that a lot of Black folks who voted for her have toward mostly other Black people, because they're not going to push a hard line on white people or white third-party voters. They ain't barely pushing a hard line on Trump supporters. They're not pushing a hard line on the 73%.
Okay.
The 75, the 88, or however many motherfucking white people didn't vote for him. They're trying to push a hard line on third-party voters and trying to say that those little bit of votes would have been enough in order to have Kamala Harris win. If Kamala Harris was a real sister, I'm going to just put it to you like this. If she was a sister,
his hotel bag.
If you stay ready, you don't have to get ready. If I'm Kamala Harris and I'm trying to be the president of the United States, the first Black woman, Southeast Asian president of the United States, I need to know what the left hand is doing. You know what I'm saying? You can't let the left hand know what the right hand doing. I need to know what the right hand is doing.
I'm imagining you as Kamala.
But no, I need to be able to say, damn, all right. Well, shit, this is how I have to move. I have to move like this is a racist country. My messaging has to sort of appeal to the reality of what this country is. I cannot try to pander to some nationalistic patriotic lie.
But the
that doesn't look good on me. I am not that costume was not made to fit me. This whole Americana and USA, they chanting at the Democratic National Convention. Girl, that's not for you. And the 92% of people who voted for you, black women who voted for you, that actually doesn't appeal to them either. So they're actually going out on a limb.
That's
and
not true.
Yes, that type of nationalistic rhetoric does not appeal to most black people.
Nationalistic rhetoric doesn't.
USA.
Ebony,
black people were only voting for her because they felt, those 92% of black women felt like she was a safer option to insulate them and protect them from harm. They feel like it's a harm reduction measure, which I want to humanize and say, I think it's fair. It's
Ebony,
fair.
A lot of people, especially folks in the middle class, somebody who was raised by middle class parents, in particular my father, believe that this country is not racist anymore, or it's sort of racist, or it's some individual incidents where you have racism. It's not an embedded institutional structure. Conveniently, my dad will talk about that, but in his heart of hearts, he believes that capitalism has really freed him, has supported him. She believes in her base, believe that capitalism will get you out of racism.
I disagree.
No, babe. Let me tell you.
Women do not think that.
Let me bring it to you. Who just had an album in the past year where she's sitting on a horse draped in the American flag, and black women in particular defended her use of the U.S. flag, saying that we are American too, and we get to be celebrated inside of this country. We can wear the flag if we want to.
How is that different from Langston Hughes' I Am a Man?
I am a man. I'm telling you that the chants of USA are not something that people feel so distant from. This again is a class conversation. I'm telling you. I
agree that it's a class. I do agree that it is a class conversation.
People defending Beyonce's use of the American flag was indicative of that. I'm sorry. I was shocked to see people defending that. Like the country, fine. Like the country music. I ain't talking about the country, but the music. But also the American flag, like, I don't know. I do think that there is a desire for, for black folks to have this mimicking
to assimilate, perhaps?
To assimilate, and assimilating looks like having the American flag. And I never said this to you, but I just remember my grandmother in Baltimore, in the literal middle of the city of Baltimore, in East Baltimore, had an American flag. She had it in her window, in her car windshield, whatever. And she also had one as a flag post right outside her house.
What does that mean? You know your grandmother better than anybody.
My grandmother also loved country, and my grandmother also hated herself. So I don't know if all of those. I'm not saying that
your grandmother to hate herself.
So I get what you're saying. It's
what the conditions that created that. It's a tension that black people have that cannot be dismissed. And I'm the first to dismiss this type of...
I don't think that it should be dismissed.
No, I'm talking about the tension between the desire, the need, the veneer of the illusion of wanting to assimilate or wanting to reclaim that this American flag, this American soil, this whole entire nation could not have, first of all, been legitimated without the abrogation of peace treaties and the genocide of indigenous Americans, but it could also have not been a country without the the enslavement of indigenous Africans, our ancestors cultivating this land as unfree labor for 400 years plus. Mm-hmm. So I think that there is a fair desire, a reasonable, legitimate desire to say that what this American flag represents also represents that history.
So then you agree with me that they do relate to, are affirmed by a chant of USA.
Not affirmed by the chants of USA. First of all, the DNC looked very white. I did not see a lot of black people at the DNC.
But you know by the numbers that black women were behind her.
Yeah, but the 92%, it wasn't enough.
And that's not the point. The whole point is that there is an association with this country in that way.
I personally don't. I think it's aspirational. Just like it is with Beyonce.
But
I want Beyonce to be more than a singer. I want Beyonce in her symbolic gestures and overtures to radicalism, or not even radicalism, shut up, liberal, neoliberalism. I want to believe that somebody of that stature cares about Black people and Blackness, that I could be a Black billionaire, that I can reach those levels.
But it don't have nothing to do with caring about Black people. It has everything to do with individual. I want to be able to reach the same levels as a Kamala Harris and as a Beyonce. I want to be able to, and I understand it, because inside of capitalism, you don't want to be treated like somebody that's poor. You see how poor people are treated. You see how a Black poor person is treated. You see how a Black poor trans person is treated. So how can I move away from that? How can I be respectable enough so I can be seen as human? How can I position myself? I was telling Ebony's not on, y'all know Ebony's not on the internet, not on social media. I was telling him that there is a knockoff bag called a Workin, and it is the Walmart version of a Birkin bag that went viral. Why would that be something that people buy off the shelves? Why do people want a Birkin bag or a knockoff Birkin bag? Why do people want a Birkin bag? Well, why do people want a knockoff Birkin bag? So you can see me as not like them. This is all binary shit.
And Walmart didn't make that. It should be called a Chinurka.
Okay.
That come from China.
Okay.
That is not,
and
Walmart
again,
didn't make that damn bag.
Who made that bag? You don't care.
And at what cost to them?
You don't care. What I care about is how I look. And that is the gag for me, is that that's never gonna be sufficient. You can't toss people away and then say, well, we'll get to that later. I just want to make sure Black people are good. It's not going to be, you're already at the impact. You are being fooled by these folks in high spaces. You are being literally bamboozled to believe that because there's a Beyonce, because there's a Jay-Z, because there's a Kamala Harris, because there was an Michelle Obama, that now I also could have that, as if that is the end of racism. And that's what people believed when Barack Obama was president. Meanwhile,
Black people did not believe that.
Babe, lots of people believed when Barack Obama became president that was the end of racism, that we were moving into a racial reckoning. Meanwhile, Black Lives Matter is gearing up, because I think it happened in his second term. Am I correct?
20, yeah, it would be the second term.
So his first term was full of nonsense. Was people believing some sort of symbolism of having a Black president, but not actually paying attention to any of his policies, except for the folks who were directly impacted, which is why Ebony, why is Barack Obama and Michelle Obama in every single soul food restaurant, barbershop, hair store? You're sitting up here trying to tell me that it wasn't a huge...
Mandela and Malcolm X.
That wasn't a huge symbolic gesture for Black people, that meant a lot. It meant a lot to me. I thought that it meant something. I thought that we were moving into a different space.
You didn't think it was a post-racial society? The narrative of a post-racial society only benefits white people. That's the only group that a post-racial society with race complicates things for them.
But like you said, you can affirm that Black people would believe that it's a post-racial society. You would believe that a post-racial society will also benefit you.
That's a fringe group that Mr. Candace Owens and the Kanye's. That is the Clarence Thomas. That is a fringe sect.
What?
The majority of Black people don't believe that, and they didn't believe it when Barack.
Don't believe what?
That Barack Obama represented a post-racial society.
Ebony,
it's not, babe.
Okay.
You cannot try to say. First of all, we need to be a monolith. We need to be a motherfucking rock standing together in a fucking solid formation. We are actually, I hate that. I'm not finna say that we're not a monolith. However, Black, you cannot, people think that, because of the world we live in with Gulliver's Travels and fucking cowboys and white cowboys and John Wayne and all this sort of lore around a fake white savior complex and fake white heroism and adventurism, and white people are just always on Survivor and they're just doing all this really adventurous shit and Manifest Destiny and the fucking Teddy Roosevelt. people think that 4th of July, 1776, we are brought up believing that resistance and liberation belongs to white people, that they are the only people who have ever come up against a great power and have resisted it. That is the narrative that they have sold us.
I don't think that the people believe that.
No.
That it's just
people may not believe that, but it's in the messaging is there. Because what happens is now we're saying that, oh, well, black people really subscribed in high numbers to a post-racial society. No, the hell they did not.
Ebony, I'm going to tell you why people believed it.
It's not
I'm going to tell you why.
Babe, we got to get off of it because this is not true.
Okay, let's move on. But I'm going to just say this. The quote that you have about Kamala Harris saying that this country is not racist, Ebony, how could you say that people didn't subscribe to that? If they didn't subscribe to it, why didn't they call her out for saying that?
Babe.
People believe that we live in a post-racial society. People believe that if they can afford the Birkin bag and they can afford to live in a predominantly white neighborhood, that they have arrived somewhere. The Snoops and the Nellies and the Soulja Boys and all, they believe that they're not, it's not like they're in random, babe.
I think that it is hard to...
I'm telling you, I was raised by one. Before Barack Obama was president, because he could afford a single family home in the suburbs, that meant that we had arrived somewhere.
Could you blame him?
No, but that's not the point, babe. You're disagreeing with me, but then saying, could I blame? That's not my point. My point is that people believe it. I don't blame him.
Agree that
I understand that
some black people believe it. I do believe that is some dominant, powerful messaging. However, it is not the vast majority of black people. The vast majority of black people understand, even without having the language, even without having it been introduced to me. I knew growing up in Oakland that I'm a fugitive. I'm not this country. I am not. We are involuntary migrants to this country. We are one of the only groups.
We are constantly being gaslit. When we went on our first date, I said, what? Clinton is the first black president. I didn't get that. That's not like...
because you watched a lot of comic viewing with Steve Harvey and shit.
No. Lots of black people believe that. Even Toni Morrison would write about that.
That black people were saying.
Yes.
And critiquing.
Lots of people believe that. So that's what I'm saying. We are constantly being gaslit. And capitalism is our biggest gaslighter.
I think it's very difficult but there is no, it's racial capitalism. It's the container. It's the country.
So what I'm saying is I'm trying to contain everything that you're saying. There is a force that's trying to convince us of something that is not true. You're saying, because even if people believe it, it's not a majority of people, but that, and even if you're saying that it's just some people that believe that, the small minority that believe that doesn't, you can understand that they're being gaslit by this
Absolutely.
force. I'm telling you that this force is very powerful, Eb, and you were the first person I have ever met to contest what I was saying about Clinton, okay?
I was appalled, for the record.
You were appalled, but there's a lot of people who are not appalled. First of all, we are taught, you talking about the things that we're taught about John Wayne and all the 1776 and all these things. We are taught to respect people in positions of power. Where
do you think we got that from?
But I had white supremacy, but I had never.
Slavery. 100%. Our particular historical. No. Our particular historical experience as Black Americans.
But okay, so then you understand that people are going to believe what these people in positions of power are saying. Just because it's a Black person in a position of power does not mean what they're saying is actually for or benefits Black people. That's all I'm
everybody.
saying, babe. But you're telling me that it's not real, it's not happening. It is.
I'm not saying it's not real. I'm saying that the over investment, the scrutiny and the attention paid to these outliers.
I don't think it's scrutiny. I don't think it's outliers, babe. Capitalism is that working bag was viral.
Babe, babe,
it's viral. You have to think about that. The impact on the psyche that people want to buy that bag so they can
like something a white person up in West Virginia be buying.
No, babe, you know exactly who was doing the viral videos. Who holds the helm on fashion, cultural Black people? Okay, it's Black people talking about this. All right.
My prayer would be that Black people would divest completely from Walmart. But again, in a racial capitalist structure, we are the site of production, i.e. we are the people who usually work at Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
And because of the it's not even support.
No, I mean, like, give it money.
Yeah, we are forced to.
Yes.
Because if I'm only making cents on a dollar, if I'm making fucking 10 cents for every 60 cent or every dollar that a white person makes, my options are going to be very limited. Where I live, what type of grocery stores I have, I might have to buy groceries from Walmart.
However, we live in a society that says if you overconsume, that means that you are more worthy than folks that cannot. So a place like Walmart, that's a warehouse, okay? It is so big. If you stand at one part of the store and the other part of the store, I won't hear you. I will not be able to hear you scream. Nothing. So that you don't need all that stuff. The fact that's the appeal, though.
It's not just it's that force you're talking about.
Yes,
it's not just unconscious appeal.
No.
There is what you're talking about. We're gonna get into the conversation about immigration, but globalization. That existence of a Walmart is only made possible through the outsourcing of labor, the outsourcing of goods and services to other countries.
He benefits capitalism if you don't give a fuck about other people. I'm going to go in Walmart and buy all this stuff because if I have all this stuff, if I walk out with bags, confessions from a shopper, that means that I am worthy versus if I can't buy anything or if my card declines. People looking at you like something's wrong with you when you don't even need half of this stuff. Sure, Walmart has groceries, but there's lots of places that have groceries. Walmart got more than groceries. They have lots of weird ass things in that store. For what? Where does all of that go at the end of the day? Who needs all that crap?
But who does it serve? Who is the C-suite of Walmart?
But people don't know that.
Who is being considered cheap labor? Not the Walton family, which there is no such thing as cheap labor, which is the thought. Because you asked me, well, why do they outsource these jobs? What is the benefit of corporate multinational corporations?
I wasn't saying outsource the jobs. I was saying trading.
What was that?
Is that upstairs?
I think so.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
What is the point?
I was saying trading, like understanding trading and creating tariffs. So when we buy something from a place like China and we buy it for, let's say we make shirts and we buy it for $10 and the tariff is $2, we're going to sell it for even $30 so we can make more of a profit for what it's worth. But the actual t-shirt to make was likely 50 cents. And I was asking you, why is it that it was 50 cents to make and not $30 to me?
Yeah, because the United States thinks of itself as having more stringent labor laws, and they think of other countries, i.e. countries like China, as having more lax, or different countries in Asia as having lax labor laws that they could then exploit and take advantage of. There is no such thing. They call it cheap labor, but it's no such thing as cheap labor. If
you anybody just devalue those people.
No, it's called, you exploit them.
Yes.
It's only exploited labor.
Yes.
It's only free labor, unfree labor.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Or exploited labor.
Yeah, and I think this is a perfect segue into a conversation about immigrants, because as long as you create this binary of cheap, exploited labor and labor that you value, then you have to have a country that's full of people that you believe are worthy of cheap labor. You have to continue to keep up the idea that this place, we have to have your goods, right? Hello, slavery. We have to have your goods for cheap because we are civilized and you are not.
Yeah.
You have to maintain that binary always, because that's the only way that you're able to maintain the belief. Because that's how people, I watch a lot of, y'all know I'm trying to get into stocks, or at least understand how they work. And a lot of people that talk about investments, they sometimes will talk about China and, you know, the whole thing. I'm not getting into that, but the whole impact of DeepSeek completely obliterating an AI company, a Chinese AI company, completely obliterating the stock market out of $1 trillion, which I guess means nothing to the stock market because things are still happening and going. Really. It's not like it shut down.
No.
Okay.
No. It means something to individual shareholders, depending on how many shares they have, and losing a shit ton of money. But
it means something to the tech bros and the billionaires. But if you got $1,000 in there there, it's not really impacting you that much.
No.
So I have been paying attention, and the way that people explain these things is also a part of the gaslight, right? Because they will say, well, it's cheaper to make things in China than it is to make things in the United States. And I just sat there like, why is it cheaper to make things in China than it is in the United States? It's still people making things, right? There's not a giant sewing machine that makes clothes. It's people that make clothes, right? It's a person sitting at a sewing machine making your shirt, making your sweater, right? So what makes it cheaper there than it would be here? And I feel like the way that these things are talked about, I don't know what the word is. You probably have a word for it, but it's like, it's almost talked about like this is the way that it is. It's just shrug your shoulders. That's just the way that it is.
Of course.
Yeah.
That's what you said you had an issue with. I won't say it's cognitive dissonance. I feel like that's too simple.
Yeah, something else. I can't
but that's the thing. Even having to try to describe it, I don't need a word for it.
I think it's important to describe it because they're talking about it as if that's normal or that's okay. It's just been an acceptance of it. So like you would say, they are like, this person I think is Chinese, is likely dealing with some internalized feelings about labor in China. Is how you would say.
I don't know if they're dealing with that. This is just the popular messaging. If they're into trade and trading and trade laws and
popular messaging that benefits whom? But nobody contesting, well, not nobody, but people not really contesting that is how these things continue. That's why I think there probably is a word, but there needs to be a word to distinguish that.
Hegemony, Western hegemony.
Sure. Exploitation of labor, sure.
I mean, I would just say that it's just that.
Yeah, yeah.
That's how capitalism works. Racial capitalism, which is why I'm going to start to just make that distinction. I'm never going to just say capitalism on its face anymore because it was not created. It was created with racialism, as I'm learning from reading Cedric Robinson's Black Marxism, that racism was always there. It was there before capitalism. And that capitalism emerged from a feudal system. Feudalism, lords and the nobility renting land from the crown, and then in exchange for that land, they would have military vassals or military people essentially say, well, if you give me land, i.e. as a landlord, that's kind of where the term landlord comes from. Yeah. If you give me land, I will be your army.
Yes.
And then they have serfs, the poor, the lower orders, work that land for them, peasants, essentially.
Yes.
That capitalism came from that.
Yeah. So,
but then in order to say who distinguish who's a peasant, who's a serf, it started to become a little bit more convenient for capitalism because we have this whole class of people who are not white, who we can then, or the Slavs and the Irish, we can say they're not white.
Yes.
First.
Yes.
But then when that labor starts to become an inconvenience, we have a whole continent that we can pillage.
So this goes into DEI and the removal of DEI and making it merit-based. Because if you make it merit-based, then you can continue to exploit the people that you believe should be exploited while continuing to maintain.
Walmart. That's how
exactly.
You can't have no Walmart.
Exactly.
You can't have no Walmart and no big ass store like that without there. If we all had jobs that paid a thriving wage, there wouldn't be no Walmart. It wouldn't make sense for them financially in their mind.
Say more.
If they
wouldn't make it.
No, the Walton family is worth, I don't even know how much money.
Billions, yeah.
Billions. How can I have billions if everybody is making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000?
Yeah.
I want billions.
Yeah.
I could care even if I made 300.
Yeah.
I don't want to make 300 and everybody else make 100, 200.
Yeah.
I want billions because what? I merit, I deserve it.
Yeah.
I deserve it. I'm the innovator. I came up with Walmart.
Yeah.
I thought of a big ass store full of cheap ass shit. All over the country.
I think we need to, and we didn't, but I think y'all do this as homework. Look up how much money Walmart, Target, what's the other ones that rollback? Kmart doesn't exist anymore. All the big box stores.
Talk about this rollback for those who don't know. Take a step back. What are we talking about with this DEI stuff? Because there's been a lot of shit in the news. So for those of us who don't be all up in the rat race, What are you speaking
Y'all are
to?
all in the rat race. Trump is, yes, you are.
Some of our
Trump
listeners
is
not
rolling
with that.
back DEI and all DEI at the federal level has laid off all federal employees that work in the DEI sector. I don't know what that looks like at the government level, but they do. They were all laid off on paid leave, which I'm like, that's cunt. Like, great.
Is it?
Yes, paid leave. I don't have to go into work. You still gonna pay me? Absolutely. Absolutely. Goodbye. Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll be home.
Well, we'll talk about that. They believe in what they're doing is good. They want their jobs back. We can
talk about DEI at the federal level.
You're terminating.
I would love to see who works in that office. I would love to see what they look like.
I want to take a step back and talk about DEI, but first just tell people what's going on.
I already did, but they're also the big box stores like Walmart, Amazon, I think Amazon, but Walmart, Target, these huge stores are saying that they are denouncing DEI. They're no longer pulling all efforts. Places like Harvard, which I'm like, it's so funny to me, a place like Harvard saying you're pulling the initiative. You didn't need to announce that. We know that you don't have no real DEI efforts, so you pulling them back don't really matter. No. But they literally laid off the people who were researching the descendants of enslaved people who were in and around Harvard, by either owned by presidents or students or staff, board members. So they're getting more and more numbers. I think they were up to like over 1,000 people that they have found, and now all of a sudden they have been completely removed. This is on the heels, if people remember, so many students after George Floyd was murdered protested changing the names on Harvard's campus, which a lot of the buildings were named after slave owners. And Harvard was essentially pushed to changing the names of some of those buildings. So now all of a sudden it's too much. It's too much. They don't want to deal with that anymore. And I think this is so perfect of what we're talking about, because I've been asking you, right? I said, what is the benefit to a place like Target, to a place like Walmart, to roll back DEI? And that's why I'm saying the homework is to go and look, how much money did they lose, or how much money did they make in the last 4 years? Did they lose money? Because I think people have been shopping less. So if you roll back DEI, you force people, you force people to divest 100%, right? But you essentially force the structures to remain the same in very blatant ways. So you can continue to hire white people at the top and essentially remove any sort of presence of Black people, but continue to exploit Black people, because even if we divest from these big box stores, Black people still have to work there.
But so the point that you're making
is they can't move up, they can't change anything.
By what?
A Black person cannot move. If DEI is completely gone, they can just say it's merit-based, that all of the C-suite continue to stay white.
The C-suite was white during the DEI initiatives.
I know,
rollout.
But now they don't have to have in Target. We saw one Black person. We saw 3 Asian people. So now they can be gone.
I don't necessarily think that's true. That they can be gone. What do you think, then?
What do you think?
I don't think that they could be. I think I get what you're saying, where it's like, were they losing money?
Yes.
Because we do know that before this, maybe a month or so, Target's, I think some of their quarterly earnings, people are buying less discretionary items.
You said
Target sell a lot of shit that motherfuckers don't need. And so their sales projections have been a lot lower than in the previous years.
Yeah.
Now, is that because white people don't like it being a gender-neutral toy section, and white people in Middle America have pulled their dollars? Or is it no longer the sort of the amount of revenue that they thought DEI could possibly generate? Because let's be honest, a corporation ain't doing nothing if it does not have a financial benefit on the other end. So I do think it's worth investigating. One, did the stocks go up with this announcement or denouncement of DEI initiatives and them pulling those? Did it go up? And also to figure out, like, what were the sales and earnings like anyway, and how can DEI may not be, and likely is not correlated to that at all. People, like you said, this racial capitalist wheel affects everybody under it.
Yeah.
So unless you're at the very top of that chain, you're gonna also be at risk. You're gonna be it's vulnerabilities.
Even the
It's a
people at the very
precarity.
top will be impacted, like the NVIDIA
NVIDIA
situation.
people, okay,
Yeah.
you got enough money in there, you could
But you
probably
still were impacted. You lost money.
yeah. So the thing is like, are you gonna be? How much are people waking up to at least the fact that I don't need a whole bunch of shit, or I just don't have it.
Yeah,
like there is there's inflation. There is so many. Trump is proposing lots of austerity measures with the federal budget. Like people are suffering across the board, especially the most marginalized. But some of the motherfuckers in Middle America and West Virginia, some of the white people, even though West Virginia, Appalachia, plenty of black people there, but the narrative says that only white people live in West Virginia, apparently, or in Appalachia, which is not true.
Yeah.
However, they be poor too. Maybe they ain't got the money to go to Target. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? But to me, the point of your question is, why would they roll it back?
What's the benefit? But you said it.
Were they doing? You said it. Were they doing anything? What? It was never created in good faith. Somebody had to. Multiple black people had to die in the year 2020 at the hands of extrajudicial police executions.
But it doesn't
for them to create 2 or 3 programs and put a couple black people products on the top of the shelf.
Yes, and that doesn't necessarily matter. What matters is, how much money can we make by taking this action? These companies doing this in droves, there are people, the billionaires who are doing Nazi salutes, are willing to invest money into their company if they essentially say, we will be a space dedicated to white supremacy.
Yeah, and under the guise of we're going to follow the law and we don't want to be penalized, but it really is to curry favor with the current administration.
Yes. It's a curry. Elon Musk doing Nazi salutes. Like, come on.
You're having a little bit of the Assata Shakur experience. You're having like a Black Panther experience. You're having an experience where because you said you felt like your consciousness is growing. And I think for some people that might be like a strange statement. Whereas like, if you already think of yourself, or people consider you to be a super radical person already, how in the hell could your politic grow more? How could your consciousness grow more? And that's why I feel like you're having a parallel experience to people like Assata Shakur, who decided the United States government is going to kill me because of my political activities. So I would rather risk my life and do what probably less than 1% of any incarcerated population is able to do, or person is able to do, which is to escape.
And I think connected to that, I have been thinking that the United States wants to kill us. So what is also in these clothes, the fabric of these clothes, I always have hair extensions with the chemicals that are in those hair extensions, like that synthetic hair. I always do the apple cider vinegar rinse, but it's still there, right? It's still in all of that. They are trying to kill us one way or another. So keep us shopping, keep us broke, keep us on the wheel of believing that if we have all this stuff, that we will be able to amount to or survive or live. Meanwhile, we're ingesting all of these chemicals as well, even through our food. That is not supporting us, right? That's not actually creating a world where we can think, where we can care for ourselves, where we can take some time to read, or where we can be supportive to our family. We're constantly trying to care for ourselves through the medical system because of what these food or clothes or whatever are doing to us. And I just think I have to be more mindful of this. Like, I feel like you said, from slavery, from indoctrination, from the gaslight, we are taught to believe the U.S. government. And as even with all the skepticism that I have, myself, and all the research that I've done, I still participate in a way that I'm uncomfortable with. And I think I am looking to divest even further.
Yeah.
Right? So does that look like I grow my own food? All of it? I would hope to. Does that look like I have chickens that are vaccinated and free from the bird flu? Does that mean that I have my own honey in the backyard? maybe, like, I think we have to learn to be more self-sufficient. The state wants you to be dependent on it.
Mhm.
And I really want to move away from that. I don't want to feel like, oh, if eggs cost $20 a pop, there's no way for me to get them anymore because they're too expensive. I want to know how to raise some motherfucking chickens, or to go to the farm. And there's literally black farms in New Jersey.
Yes.
And we don't know about them because where we're told to go is Whole Foods.
Mhm.
It's like, I'm not interested in a billionaire having any more of my money.
Mhm.
Like, I want to go the extra mile and figure out different ways
Mhm.
to contribute to Black people outside of these big box stores. I'm
Mhm.
sorry, all you owners, but outside of these big box stores where we are taught because Black people are there, that they have arrived, or that's fantastic. And I get that. But we have to divest from whiteness in terms of capitalism. We have to.
And it's not
So I
that
hope
they
that makes
feel
sense.
that it does. And thank you. And it's not that they feel they've arrived.
Mhm.
They because of the discriminatory nature of most, like, again, going back to how you get a Target and how you get a Walmart and how you get a virtually all white C-suite that goes for Adidas, that goes for Nike, that goes for, I could rattle off about 10 companies, mostly white C-suite, huge executive management, most retail stores in the United States. Distribution for Black products is very difficult to get. So I don't think they arrive. They feel trapped. They feel also like, if I want my products to reach a wide audience, if this is my only job and this is how I make my money and feed myself or feed my family, I'm going to have to participate in ways that make me uncomfortable, like you mentioned.
I understand that.
And I do believe...
I understand that. But if a company is saying, I don't want you here, we have to go.
100%.
We gotta go. I'm sorry.
And I know there has been, Erica has been telling me, because I ain't online, Erica has been telling me there's some rumblings online, where people are having a dialogue or discourse around Black-owned businesses and Black-owned businesses' responsibility to the Black community. And what I do want to mention is that sometimes in these internet discourses in mixed company, we can't necessarily have these intracommunally in the ways that we want to on a national level. Somebody fix that. There is this, I think, lack of looking at the circumstances and conditions that would have people wanting to shop at these places still, but also white people. These stores and them pulling out of DEI initiatives exist for the benefit of white people. So I know there's a lot of conversations that Black people are having on the internet, but white people are not having those such conversations upon the rollout or the taking away of DEI from these stores. White people are happy to have their products, which I also want to, that's legalized discrimination anyway. The gaslight is, they say, to have Black condoms, because B condoms, they're a Black condom store sold in Walmart or Target or somewhere, and now it's been pulled off the shelf. To have the Black condom company is legalized discrimination, not that all the other condom brands are white owned. To add one Black-owned brand, according to the Trump administration, but not even according to the Trump administration, according to our laws, the whole fact that affirmative action had to be created in the first place is indicative of the fact that white people think of themselves as a master race. That is what living in an ethnostate looks like, where I can go to a store and I might want to buy Black products. Like you said, I might want to. I really do. I want to buy some Black honey. I'm not near a Black farm. I can't. All the honey is white. And if it is Black owned, I have no idea.
Yeah, I mean, a big box, that's what a lot of people who are disabled, they use Amazon because they cannot potentially leave their house and go to the store, right? The fact that it comes to your door, it creates convenience.
At a major cost to that person
and
who has to do it for you, deliver it.
People should be able to access what they need if they are disabled.
Yes.
It takes away the actual work that's required to create a world that is not ableist. What it does is say, well, it's easier just to exploit these people and pay them nothing and have them essentially pissing in cups at their stations, but you'll get your medicine on time. It has you, again, not consider what other people are experiencing so you can have the convenience.
Yes.
It necessitates, I think that's what you're also pointing to, our capitalism necessitates the inconvenience. And then it creates these things that are convenient, like an Amazon, and you say, oh, let me give my money to that. But the thing is, it's literally this is I think this is just coming clear to me. When you think about the medical model of disability, it literally, if me having breast cancer, the doctor is focusing on my breast cancer, right? That's the only thing they're out to focus on. They don't care that I'm stressed. They don't care if I don't have the money to care for it. They don't care about anything else. All they care is breast cancer, okay? What has black people, what has black people die at insurmountable rates from breast cancer is medical racism. It's social inequities that keep us from going to the doctor, from being able to afford health insurance, from having mammograms that actually depict a black breast, that detect it, right? So the medical model of disability says, well, you're here now, let me treat you, even though it's stage 4 and you're likely going to pass. It's no consideration of why it's at stage 4 and why it wasn't found early. The social model of disability says, look at all of the factors that would have created this disability, right? Let's address them. Let's address those inequities. Instead of us addressing those inequities, we get excited about a Target, we get excited about an Amazon, we shop at those places because, look, this is just a quick fix. Let's just go. Let me just order it.
And it's what you say all the time. The individual nature of capitalism erodes community.
Yep.
So, one, white supremacy seeks to, as we all know, naturalize that in which is unnatural. People think that race and race science and all of that is just real, and it's not.
I think it's real.
That it's biologically based.
Yes.
It's not, but it has emerged to represent so much. It's pseudoscience.
Yes.
But it has, but how could something fake, not real, artificial, completely made up, be the organizing principle around the globe for for thousands of years now? How is that possible? How are we still using that model to decide where people live, what kind of jobs they have, what type of health insurance that they have access to? So it's also unnatural for us to be buying shit and getting it in 2 hours. That's I understand we have needs. I understand motherfuckers need shit fast. This world is saying you need this fast, but people have to go get it for you. People have to make it for you.
And again, I keep going
that
back.
Pressure.
I keep going back to this. It necessitates that you don't care about other people.
But know that nobody cares about you. The community is not such that I could go help you get your medicine right now.
No. But we're saying the same thing, babe. I don't care. I have to focus on me. It necessitates that you only focus on yourself. I don't have time to go bring you your medicine. I'm trying to make ends meet. I'm trying to feed my family. I got to get food. I'm trying to rest. I'm trying to take breaks. I can't also bring you. It doesn't create conditions for us to actually care for ourselves, to care for others. All the focus is on you. Oh, you can't get your medicine? I'll
go to Amazon.
Good luck.
Go to Amazon.
Yeah.
You know, that... These things that are making us ill or making us unwell as a society, it's now a panacea. It's now a bomb. They're trying to have, the state is having its arm in every aspect and facet of our lives. And I feel like so that's my thing as far as like this conversation around Black-owned businesses. If we live in a white ethnostate, i.e., we can all agree that the United States, the origin of the United States was rooted in upholding whiteness and white people, that they have benefited the most from the country's most egregious atrocities against non-white people. If we can all agree on the facts, then we can reasonably say that these beneficiaries of this system are ultimately responsible.
Who?
White people I think that they are responsible
for
whatever the fix is, whatever the solution is. Even around the rollback of DEI, even the anxiety around Trump.
the presence of DEI in affirmative action, white people benefited from. 19% of C-suite positions were held by white women, while 4% of C-suite positions were held by black and the global majority. And that's what DEI, that was the result. It's hard to measure DEI, right? That's known, that's research. How do you measure? Do you measure the fact of having C-suite? Do you measure how many black people you have in the company? What if they all work in lower rung like positions, right? Like, what's the real measure of it?
Of the impact.
Is it racial and social justice understanding, right? It's hard to measure. But at the end of the day, you can see the numbers. If you look at the target C-suite, it's mostly white women.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. Is like I think they're mostly responsible for the solution, but also we all know, I think we just know the answers to a lot of these questions, that the anxiety is in the absence of what to do. It's in the absence, the anxiety is emergent in the absence of, what do? I don't know. What is the solution? How do we fix this? How do we go about this? And it's like, this collective anxiety, this focus on Trump, this outrage machine on Trump is privilege. It's like motherfuckers who, if you really living on the margins and, black, queer, and trans people, or people who are already consigned to the lower rungs of society, people who are incarcerated or firmly incarcerated, they're going to have a very different response to some DEI being rolled back. They're going to have a very different response to these executive orders. When your rights have already been truncated,
that part.
When you have, if you have exercised your First Amendment rights under the law, we live in a country where you can exercise your First Amendment rights under the law, the right to speech and the right to protest, and be kicked down some stairs at a university in a developed nation, taken to jail for protesting a genocide, but then white people doing a non-insurrection at the state capitol can be pardoned.
That was an insurrection.
It ain't no insurrection. You are the...
Oh, you are.
You are. It's not an insurrection.
You needed to explain that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not an insurrection because this country is for them.
Yeah.
They're not you know what I'm saying? Like, they are...
a non-insurrection. You're right.
No, it's a non-insurrection.
Yeah.
You're not
it's a really
insurrecting anything.
Yeah, and they're all out.
You are the status quo.
Yeah.
You are not instituting something different.
Yeah.
You are the counter-revolution calling yourself the insurgency.
Yeah.
This is not revolutionary.
The United States has always been moving in the direction of creating a white ethnostate.
Which is what
from its inception. All of these things are connected. They are not separate. And I think in separating them, people get lost in the, as you say, the murk and mire of it all. Talking about immigration rights and racist immigration policies separate from a rollout massively of Ozempic, where people who do not have access, or the cost of diabetes medication has gone up so high where they no longer can access it because people want to be thin, is directly connected to an ethnostate. Since
uniformity.
Uniformity, homogeny, but while white people were creating racism and creating race, they also said that if you are black, you are fat and you are lazy. So this resistance, this literally every single celebrity you look, any of them that had even a little bit of fatness on them, they are now all thin. A lot of them are thin. This is all inside of this fear of how you're treated when you're fat, how you're related to when you're fat, right?
You might be related to like a black person.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They're not actually contesting fat phobia. Let me just be skinny so that I can be protected. And that doesn't protect anything. You are playing into exactly what this country wants to create. It's not a health thing, sis. It's not a health thing. Like, we can stop with the health nonsense. Like, this is all about aesthetics. This is all about how things look. You're hoping to get more opportunities as a thin person. You're hoping to get more opportunities if you, lighten your skin, whatever it might be. But we have to be looking at how this country is constantly moving towards being white. That's it. Only for white
they
people.
believe that. So these executive orders,
Mm-hmm.
thank you for saying that, these executive orders are continuing that project.
Yes. And they would have under Harris.
They would have looked different.
They would not have looked different.
She wouldn't have done these executive orders, babe. You know that.
Babe.
She would not.
Babe. The executive orders to deport immigrants, she absolutely would have done.
Yeah, she was trying to build that wall and talking about the wall and all this other bullshit.
She talked about it on the campaign trail.
But she would not have rolled back DEI initiatives because, again, DEI...
I don't know that, babe. I don't know that she wouldn't have.
Erica, that's hyperbole now.
How are you saying with a straight face that you believe that Kamala Harris would not have rolled back DEI when she was invested in the apartheid state of Israel? You mean to tell me that it's far-fetched that she wouldn't roll back DEI, babe?
Yes.
These people are run by money. They're not run by anything else.
Babe, why didn't Joe Biden do it during his administration?
Kamala Harris said that this country is not racist.
Babe, you have to understand. You are saying that you're saying what Malcolm X has said, the wolf in sheep's clothing.
Correct.
Liberal Democrats are also the same. They're different sides. Liberal Democrats and white racist Republicans or the right wing or conservatives are the different sides of the same coin.
Correct.
Right. They are different sides of the same coin. That means necessarily in order to ossificate, for a Democrat to ossificate their true aims or prerequisites in order to stay in power, is to uphold white supremacy. They need to go about it in a way that on its face looks different, a departure from what conservatives are doing. It would not have benefited the Biden administration to roll back DEI initiatives. That would have looked very, very bad. But what they could do is retain Trump's immigration policy, which they did do. Biden administration did not make many changes to Trump's very xenophobic, austere immigration policy. They do shit like that. They don't go out and say, yeah, we're not gonna have none of this transgenderism going on, and y'all gonna have to use these motherfucking bathrooms based on when the sex.
No, they said, I think you should listen to the law.
Right.
I think you should listen to doctors.
They said
so we're saying the same thing.
A little bit, babe. But she would not have rolled back.
But the thing is, it doesn't. But this is my gag, though, babe. It doesn't matter. Obama literally was called the deporter in chief. He literally said, there's a quote, and you don't. It's not a direct quote. I'm paraphrasing, where he said, "I feel bad that we are separating families." That's what he said on the record. And on the record, he has deported the most immigrants out of any other president. It doesn't matter what you say. So I don't care if Kamala Harris would not have rolled back DEI. To me, that is a moot point. You wouldn't have made sure that Black people, did you see who was running her communications? Did you see what that? Okay. So it doesn't matter.
You're the one who brought that up. Said she would roll back DEI.
No, but I'm just telling you, it doesn't.
You conjectured that, but I don't think she would.
I conjectured it, but you're telling me that you don't believe that she would do it, and I'm telling you it doesn't. But I'm telling you it doesn't matter at the end of the day because she still would uphold white supremacy. She still would create the conditions for there to be to necessitate a DEI.
And I don't want it to sound, because I have a critique that the constant saying of white supremacy and the constant saying of that can become trite and it could become banal. And I feel like upholding white supremacy needs to be qualified. Like, of course, Obama is upholding white supremacy by deporting 2 million people or the most people of any other sitting president. However, that needs to be said in context. What does it look like for a Black president, a mixed Black president, I'll add, to uphold white supremacy in that way? Well, what do we mean when we are saying that? What we mean when we're saying that is that the United States has always had an immigration policy that, according to what you got me to see today, because we be in bed at 2 a.m. arguing about all this shit. You had me see that the United States immigration policy is inherently anti-Black.
Yes.
The reason being is that The immigration policy has not changed from 1790.
Mm-hmm.
From the Naturalization Act of 1790. It hasn't really changed much.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't know, the Naturalization Act of 1790 essentially allowed, now remember, I'm not good at math, but do a little math. When was this country founded? When did we get independence from Great Britain? That was in 1776, right? So 1790 minus 1776, 20-something, almost 30-something, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Years later, not a long time, just a couple of decades later, United States government decides we want to create a law that allows immigration from any white person.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning you can be a legal immigrant and a legal alien, quote unquote, the term they use,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you were a white man or a white person.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's strange that I just got independence from a foreign imperial power, and now I'm saying they can come here
Mm-hmm.
as long as they're white.
I want y'all to do a little homework. How many Russian, English, German, Italian,
Swedish,
Dutch, Swedish people are in ICE detention centers?
Mm-hmm.
How many of those folks are people calling
Mm-hmm.
ICE on? I'm just curious.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot separate anti-blackness.
How many people called ICE?
How many people called ICE detention centers on them?
Mm-hmm.
You cannot separate anti-blackness from this conversation, because when you're talking about immigrants, people have a particular image in their head.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And that has been informed by the media. They also are linking undocumented immigrant with criminal.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not investigating what kind of criminal? Why are they just criminals?
Mm-hmm.
What have they done?
Who's been the quintessential criminal in this country?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but they need to go? Not the countless white people who have committed crime, including the president?
Mm-hmm.
Right. What kind of crime are we talking about?
Right.
If I shoplift from Target, that means I should be deported?
Mm-hmm.
If like what? Like,
but if I sexually assault somebody and lose a civil suit for having done so, I should be president of the United States, I think.
But see, that's the thing. These people are criminals. They need to go. We need to restore order in our country. We need to restore order so your ass can be justified as the president. That's what this is all about. How can I justify myself as a man? I'm going to create this ridiculous gender policy that don't mean nothing. I have to justify myself that way. I have to justify that I am the ultimate man so I can continue to benefit from patriarchy.
No, that whiteness equals man.
Yes.
So that I can continue to benefit from
100%.
white supremacist patriarchy,
100%.
which cannot be separated. And that's the thing. It's like, again, the Naturalization Act of 1790 is just as much of a landmark legislation as Brown versus Board of Education.
Yes.
Even though it was in 1790, please don't think that the country that time has been a marker of progress, a sufficient marker of progress.
Mm-hmm.
It just means the days and shit didn't change.
Yes, white people are having a massive hissy fit. That's what we are witnessing right now.
They want to come back.
During Obama, they were pissed that Obama was president. When Black Lives Matter was doing lots of organizing across the country, they were pissed that Black people were having a conversation about ending the police. The very people that they are in community with, white people are naturally the police, right? You don't need to have a badge. As a white
been
person,
on a train with a white person?
As a white person, you are the police.
Yep.
Like, that's it. So they did not like that. They did not like that they were being called out for their white privilege. They didn't like any of that.
Karens and all this.
They don't like that people were talking about fat phobia, because that also was a conversation. Hello, body positivity was a huge discourse around towards the end of Obama's presidency into Trump, right? That was a massive, they did not like that. Because the body of fat positivity movement or the fat radical movement centered Black people. So they found a way to center themselves inside of body positivity, and Black and non-Black people of color completely obliterated and tore down whatever nonsense apolitical stuff that was. So they said, okay, let's go back to being skinny. Hello, Ozempic. Right? It's not beneficial anymore to talk about body positivity. It's not lucrative to talk. That's why when you look at all the runway shows, hello, fashion is political, all of them people is thin. Even some of the fat models have lost weight. Right? We have to look at these things, right? It's all connected. They are in a massive hissy fit. They want to go back to being white.
But
while they have completely consumed blackness.
Yes.
While I say that white people want to go back to being white, any moment in history where black people have had a small inch of freedom, white people have erupted with even more restrictions.
Yes.
So around Plessy versus Ferguson, when Homer Plessy in 1892 knew that the Louisiana train cars were segregated, he sat on a train car as a black person and said, I am in a white train car and said, I am going to stay here. And that erupted into Plessy versus Ferguson, which determined by the Supreme Court a really, like, what is the word that they always say?
Landmark.
Thank you. Okay.
Socially.
That part.
Culturally.
That part.
Economically. White people have to be co-conspirators in this schema.
That part.
It's a scheme. It's a scam.
That part.
And they all y'all
I don't think they hear you about that.
I know.
I think you need to name. I think you need to name the white people. What do you mean by they all? What do you mean by they all? Do you mean liberals?
No,
do you
I'm
mean
talking
Democrats?
about these.
Do you mean Republicans?
I'm talking about all of them.
All of what?
So Selena Gomez.
Selena Gomez is Mexican.
I don't matter. She a white Mexican. Adele, all these
Adele,
Chappelle Roan, Taylor Swift,
Sabrina Carpenter,
all of them being from the Midwest.
Mm-hmm.
These new artists.
Come on.
1-year-old artists, damn near baby artists.
Come on.
Being nominated for Grammys on their first and second albums.
Come on. Let me whisper
their
something.
First albums.
Let me whisper something to you. Meritocracy myth.
You know what I'm saying? All this good black music people making.
Doesn't matter. They're there on merit. They worked hard.
No, their music is better.
No. The white people worked hard.
That's what they said.
Yes,
my music
is better. Uh-huh.
And that's why I blame y'all for saying. That's why I tell y'all singing that Billie Eilish and all that. I don't allow none of that in my house.
We stick together.
Black people on there singing that shit, and y'all thinking that shit is on. TikTok is also in on.
This is why I can't get to this reading.
Go ahead.
Oh, the TikTok ban. We didn't talk about that. Listen to this. In 1892, Homer Plessy defied a Louisiana law that required railroad companies carrying passengers within the state to provide equal but separate accommodations for the white and colored races. Fully aware of the law and intending to challenge it, Plessy took a seat in a train car designated for white passengers, announced that he was a Negro to the conductor, and refused to move. As he expected, a lesson from this is that you do not listen to the law. You always go against the law. As he expected, Plessy was promptly arrested. In a series of trials and appeals, Plessy and his lawyers eventually took the case to the United States Supreme Court, which, despite a vigorous dissent by Justice Harlan, upheld the segregationist Louisiana law through its infamous separate but equal pronouncement in 1896. In the aftermath of failures of Reconstruction, the Supreme Court ruling marked a moment when racialization of American culture had been dramatically articulated and reconfigured. Although racial segregation had long been entrenched as a de facto practice in many regions of the United States, the 1896 ruling formally, explicitly hardened racialized boundaries in new ways. This legalized system of segregation recalled slavery's racialized distinction between slave and free, but reconfigured this binary by articulating it in exclusively racial terms, the imagined division between black and white bodies. In effect, Plessy versus Ferguson ushered in a nationwide and brutal era of Jim Crow and segregation and institutionalized apartheid that lasted well into the 20th century. So what does that tell us, folks? Anytime white people feel like their position of power is being contested, they have a hissy fit to maintain their position of power. They will do anything to believe that immigrants, that trans people, that black people, that anybody, a part of the global majority, is less than them, so that they can keep up the lie that they are the most civilized, the most smart, the most worthy of being nominated for a stupid Grammy,
of life, of being able to breathe,
of being able to breathe, of owning a genre that they didn't even create. I'm not the biggest Beyonce fan necessarily, but the fact that she was completely kept out of the Country Music Awards speaks volumes to their deep level of insecurity, right? You have to keep Black people out so that you can keep up the lie that you are the most worthy.
Mm-hmm.
That is what the Grammys is. I'm not going to nominate you. I'm not going to give you an award. Why would I give you an award? I have to believe that Taylor Swift is the best performer, not Beyonce. And I'm going to create a whole award show to actually push out that fact. I'm going to make sure that Taylor Swift's music is all over the world so that Black people can never, ever get credit for the things for the very nature of music, American music, that they created. Yeah. And that is why. Oh, you want it?
No, that's that part. Formerly. Yes. Explicitly harden racialized discrimination. The lines get formally, legislatively.
Let's go.
They use all arms of the state, from the executive, the judicial, the legislative branch. They use every arm of the state. The media, which is sometimes called the fourth arm of the state, they will use anything and anybody to their advantage, not only just to their moral advantage around this moral superiority they have, but they will literally create laws. These executive orders are to formally, explicitly harden the lines, the separations between these artificial, racialized, fake, made-up distinctions between people. The characterization of non-white peoples as X, Y, and Z. We all know the pejorative phrases. It's 1,000,001 pejorative terms to describe Black people. It's only like 2 or 3 for white people. Being called a cracker is not bad. That sounds nice. Hunky sound like a toy. That is not, if you call me a cracker and I was white, I would not be hurt. I'd be like, what? The things that they call us, Val, they come up with new shit to call us. The things that they do, it's not even what you call us. What you called us, what you've made and manufactured us to be in your mind, what it allows you to do to us. That's the problem.
And these lines are being hardened at a time where there was arguably lots of trans visibility. In the meat, you have Pose, you have even Drag Race, right? That's a very popular show. Like Pose was the first time that a trans actress was on like regular evening TV, cable TV, right? Like you have these visible representations.
Orange is the New Black.
Orange is the New Black, but I think that's Netflix. I think Pose was a different kind of
Pose
space.
was on TV.
It was FX, so
yeah, I think it was on TV.
You have these visible representations of the truth, right? That trans people exist, that they're real. You also have intersex advocacy of intersex activists actually shutting down hospitals to stop performing non-consensual surgeries on intersex babies. All of these things are happening under Trump. A lot of it was under Trump. So now what do you see? What is the first thing that he does is roll out a gender policy that says at conception, everyone is female. If you are at conception, everyone is female. Okay. At the first 9 weeks of everyone's life, okay, you are a female.
X, what is the chromosome?
It's no chromosomes.
It don't even
right?
matter.
It's not. It doesn't matter. It's not registering as that. Anatomically, it looks like female. That's what it looks.
But you're not. But we're not.
It doesn't. You're not anything. It's anatomically.
They're calling anatomically. What is called female is what everybody started at.
You cannot get a gender reading of your child until you are about 12 weeks. The reason for that is everybody anatomically has female genitalia up until 9 weeks. Then the progesterone sends a signal to create testosterone or to create estrogen, and it extends the clitoris into a penis, creates the scrotum out of the labia. You get what I'm saying? All of these things, or it stays a little bit shorter or gets a little bit longer. But he's creating these terms, right? He's rewriting these terms so that he can ensure that this is a man and this is a woman. We're going to keep that up so I can continue to subjugate trans people, so that I can have someone, a point of contention. I can't have trans people in Congress. I can have a
differentiated group.
Yes, I can't have trans people in Congress. I can't have trans people on my television. I'm not supposed, Grindr stock is up. Okay? It's not supposed to be that you know where my Grindr stock is up. The porn, trans porn is up. It's not a coincidence, right? You want to keep trans people invisibilized, right? You don't want them to actually be visible. It contests with your gender identity, how you feel about yourself. You believe that men are the most powerful. The presence of a trans person completely contests with all of that.
Well, I have to be more than just a man. Yeah. I have to actually be a person. I actually have to have some other personality or humanity, not tied up in some prescribed fake masculinity that I inherited from something or somebody else.
That part.
I don't have to decide who I am.
That part.
I'm just a man, and a man is this. I don't have to be more than that. Give me all the benefits conferred by being a man. That's it.
Who am I if trans people exist? You don't want to go there.
Who am I if being a man doesn't exist? Give me all of these benefits.
That part.
If I'm not
so it's not really merit-based, Trumpy.
Right.
It's not really merit-based.
I want y'all to think about it like this. All y'all out there that's worried or whatever the case may be, even because a lot of people, if you listen to this, likely you don't give a fuck. You ain't worried about this shit. Like these people
you might be.
They look like they smell like hog head cheese. JD Vance look like he smell like hog head cheese.
What?
Hog head cheese. The meat. It's a
I
meat.
want to have a conversation about JD Vance wanting to essentially fuck couches.
I'm not done, babe. I'm not done. But
what you mean you're not done?
I wasn't done with my point.
No, but I want to. I'm not saying I want to get into that.
I don't want to talk about that at all. I don't give a fuck. I don't care what he want to do in his bedroom. He care about what I want to do in mine.
Period.
And I don't give a fuck what he want to do. It's stinking there. I don't want to fucking smell that. But anyway, this is what I want y'all to think about it this way. Especially black people. This is really just for us. Our organizing is and when we organize and when we come together and when we put our full force and ownership over our creative, cultural, artistic, economic, self-determining economic pursuits, when we really put our whole foot into who we are and into celebrating, exalting, closing ranks, gatekeeping, protecting, loving, upholding blackness, it has created Trump in a way. That has been the response.
Oh, it's good.
I need y'all, our organizer has been so cold and so much of a threat that they have literally had to come, they're grasping for straws.
This is good score.
That is you should be proud, dare I say, that the response of the enemy, of the opposition is so vigorous in response to what we have been able to do under duress. Imagine what we can do when we're liberated.
So you believe the 92% should rest?
Even the 92%, even them operating in all our idiosyncrasies as black people, all the things that, as long as you're not being outright violent, but even 92% has done the impossible in a country like this. Whether you want to rest or not, I don't care. It doesn't matter. Your existence is resistance, whether you want it to be or not. Whether you want it to, you black, whether you want to be or not. Whether you have a black woman, Southeast Asian mixed president or not, light-skinned president or not. You are who you are. You were able to raise some of them was able to raise $1 million in one day for a person who is a millionaire and got mad at other black people for saying that this person does not care about you. We do. You could raise that $1 million. Those 1,000 women on that call, what did they need? What's their life like? How could that money have been how could that money have changed their lives? Where's that money at now? Where is the war chest, they call it, for both of these candidates? The damn near hundreds of millions of dollars that they raised for these campaigns. Where is it? Who got it? What community did it go into? That $1 million you invested? Where is it now? Is it in their NVIDIA stock that just lost $1 trillion? Where is it?
Yep.
So it's working, what we're doing. What's not working
is assimilation.
Is joining the assimilation and the joining in the public excoriation of Black people, the protecting and upholding of light-skinned people, calling Beyonce the America's greatest propagandist. But talking about pro-Black nationalism. I'm uncomfortable with Black national. What are you talking about?
But also, Black people, the desire to assimilate also looks like being transphobic.
Big time.
So you got to cut it out.
Cut it out.
It's not saving you. It looks like being xenophobic. Saying, oh, well, fuck Palestinians, I'm going to Starbucks. It's working on you.
That same police force that is colonizing and subjugating, the IDF subjugating Palestinian people, they get trained by the police force that's killing us.
They trained the police force. Yes. The cop cities around the country that popped up even more under Biden. Hello? Who do you think the police go after? Do you think that ended after Barack Obama's presidency? Think police brutality don't happen no more?
It happened then. Michael Brown, Samir Rice, they were all killed under Obama's administration.
Yes. No, I'm saying that people think that ended, that it stopped. No, it continues.
The thing is, another thing that I'm present to is that everybody keeps trying to skirt around the obvious answer. The obvious solution. You cannot do any of this in isolation or alone.
That part. Black
people must be a community. That's the only thing. You looking for some type of leader. You looking for Kamala. You looking for Martin Luther King. You resurrect him. You're looking for somebody. Martin Luther King said, we need a beloved community. Martin Luther King said also, Israel, people in Israel should have a right to exist. He was still killed by the United States government, saying both of those things. But he really wasn't going to be a candidate. They were just fucking with him at first. But then they decided, I'm going to kill you after you say the check is overdue. And that Black people deserve reparations. And it's warranted and we need it now. And when he was standing with workers and grew his class consciousness.
And was talking about redlining.
Martin Luther King didn't die with no damn book dealing with a whole bunch of motherfucking money. Martin Luther King did not have a lot of money when he passed. How could he? He not doing what Nelly and Snoop and all these other. He not doing what they doing.
I think you get frustrated about the overuse of white supremacy, and I think I get frustrated about the overuse of community. Like when you say that Black people need to be in community with each other, or we need to be in community with each other, what do you mean specifically? Because people think of community. We have to have these conversations inside of a class conversation, because a lot of people want to be a community with people that's similar class status in them, and they want to betray anybody that cannot afford to hang out with them, because community is looking more like a clique, is looking more like we go to the bar together. Not actually that we build together, that we create together, that it's all different types of class backgrounds in my community. It's not a friendship group. It could be, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it is that.
No, we eliminate class. We eliminate class. I can't. If my partner don't have it, I don't have it.
Okay.
That's how I grew up. That's the type of, when Martin Luther King is talking about beloved community, I don't know if this is attributed to Martin Luther King or he got it from somewhere. He's saying a community in which any social oppression, social inequity that anybody has experienced is completely intolerable to the group. That means that if I'm a Black person and I see ableism happening, whether I'm able-bodied or not, it's intolerable.
Genocide.
Homophobia and transphobia cannot coexist. inside of a beloved community. Beloved community means that we not only look out for each other, but we resist these systems that oppress us together. We liberate each other. It just seems so trite. It doesn't seem, it seems like a cliche. Well, none of us is free till all of us is free. No, they literally meant that. Whoever that quote is attributed to, none of us is free until all of us are free.
It's actually attributed to like a white English lady.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's so easy for them to say it. If I was white, you could easily say that as a white person. But white people, the point being is that there has to be, what I mean by community is that what you talk about all the time. How we treat each other interpersonally is indicative of our politics.
Yes.
You cannot talk about I love black people and I'm all about liberation and you shit on black people on a daily basis. You scared of Trump. You scared of white people. You scared of Zionists. You scared of the IDF. You scared of Elon Musk. You scared of Trump. But you got smoke for every black person step on your toe, you ready to fight. You can come up with a million reasons why you don't like somebody you never met. Or who you used to know. You come up with a million reasons why not to go apologize to talk to your friend or your family member. But for Elon Musk, you just all out of, I don't know what to do. I'm just, oh Lord, that's too much for me. That it's like this, we are living in these contradictions. We live in a contradictory, paradoxical society that mirrors and mimics the contradictions inherent in who we are, how we treat one another. We want to ignore that, but get surprised when Elon Musk does a Nazi salute. Black people coming for other black guys, whole light skin and white brigade, and black cis men coming for black people, black femmes.
On TikTok.
On TikTok and on social media. But then you want to get surprised when executive orders that essentially are meant to demoralize black people and call us stupid and say we don't deserve and we wouldn't be able to survive in a meritocracy. We get surprised when that happens, but we're fine to do the dog pal online and then call ourselves, oh, I'm a Marxist, I'm a communist. Huh? We want to get surprised. The executive order surprised certain people, and it's privilege in that surprise. Why are you surprised? Why are you connected to these things? Why are people saying things like, I stand for Palestine, but gentrification doesn't cause genocide? The mass displacement of people? Wouldn't their premature deaths lend themselves to them being displaced? But you got black people, to your point, saying stuff like that online.
Yeah, I think... people got very upset with me when I voted third party. And then I just think...
You're
I'm the enemy then.
Yeah.
Not the presidents.
But in a and babe, we live in a white supremacist country. You are the enemy.
Yeah.
If their immigration policy targets... has for many decades now targeted Haitian and Nigerian immigrants or immigrants from the continent of Africa and from the Caribbean without people knowing that it's happening. In major metropolitan cities like New York, where if Haitian people try to essentially escape Haiti because of the conditions that, literally France has bankrupted Haiti.
So is the U.S.
And the U.S. So now I'm trying to leave the conditions that you have created in this iteration of a white supremacist country. Punishment for having been liberated. Punishment for being independent.
That part.
And for kicking white people's asses. The fucking French army. One of the most... a military superpower at that point, for having done that. I come to the Mexican border and there's images online, on TV, on the news of people on horses, Border Patrol on horses, using ropes to lasso human beings. Why didn't you think that executive order... Why are these executive orders bothering you so much?
Because
that was happening.
Because what people said is Trump is more blatant.
Will you like it? You want it to be quiet?
Yes, that's
You
what
want it to
people
be
want.
covert?
That's what. I'm sorry, babe, but you also saying she's not going to overturn DEI.
No, she wouldn't. She don't have to.
It
She can do
doesn't
something
matter.
else.
Exactly.
Just as harmful.
It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't. Because I'm not saying
no.
that.
All I'm saying is that it's the same. You get these people get by on literally pretending to be something that they're not. That's why they have the drone, the meme where it's drones and a rainbow flag and it says Democrats and just a regular drone and I don't know, a fucking Confederate flag and it says Republicans. It's still a drone.
Mm-hmm.
If you deported 500 immigrants under Biden and you deport 6,000 under Trump, you still deported immigrants.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This whole mental gymnastics that people are doing.
Well, because these are fake borders.
Exactly. No one is stolen. No one is illegal or undocumented on stolen land. It's completely made up.
Mm-hmm.
But people are doing mental gymnastics around this immigrant was a criminal. And this what, y'all, what is the basis? What is crime?
Mm-hmm.
What is a criminal?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean that you get to say that they have to now leave from their family?
According to the United States government, you can do fraud on a large scale. You could sexually assault people. You could essentially be a pedophile. You can do all of that and still not be charged. You can be charged. Mm-hmm. You can be convicted and never be sentenced for that crime. Mm-hmm. Charged and convicted. Mm-hmm. But unlike any other person, you won't be convicted. You will not be sentenced.
And this is
serving no jail time.
Crime is a racialized conversation. And that is why a conversation around immigration policy, around Ozempic, around gender, around anything that's happening right now is inside of anti-Blackness and a desire for a white ethnostate. That's all I have to say. I think we have to stay connected to that every single person in government, all of them, maybe with the exception of Cori Bush, who has been pushed out by AIPAC, all these lobby groups are interested in a white ethnostate. That's what they're interested in. And they've always been interested in it.
And if you know that, then these executive orders...
It gets a little easier to deal with. Yeah.
Should not come to a surprise. Now, if you're a white person, you always clutching your pearls about times like these. Mm-hmm. Where you feel like your cover's gonna be blown because you're not gonna do shit.
Is it Meg?
You know what I'm saying? It's like you feel like your cover gonna be blown because you're not ready to do shit, and you feel like with a Democratic president, you don't have to do shit.
Yeah,
you just get to relax if it's a Democratic president. Mm-hmm. So we
all about optics.
We have to close.
What's optics?
We have to close.
Go ahead, read your review. It's relaxing to me when Ebony reads reviews. He reads everything, okay? This is a reader over here.
I just read reviews.
And sometimes he'll just read reviews, and it's so funny to me.
At random
I just felt like to calm our nervous systems, and potentially yours as well, at the end of maybe every episode, we will read some review. Ebony will read some reviews. Go ahead, babe.
I'm going to read one review.
All right, go ahead.
And it's from the San Francisco Marriott. I ain't staying here. I don't know how I happen upon these things. I just look up random stuff. It says, last night I stayed at the San Francisco Marriott Union Square and was deeply disheartened by the experience. Upon arrival at 9 p.m., I was shocked to encounter a loud and disruptive picket line where union members were shouting, "Don't check in, don't check in," as I entered the hotel. This created an extremely upsetting atmosphere. The level of noise was unbearable and likely damaging to their hearing. I was even more surprised when the front desk clerk mentioned that the protest had been going on for 2 months. It led me to wonder, if workers are striking, who is cleaning the rooms?
Oh my God. That's our episode.
And shout out to that union. Shout out to those employees striking at the San Francisco Marriott and other hotels. No, the strikes were effective. They did it for 2 months.
Strikes are effective. Divest from these billionaires. Yeah. Divest from these places trying to convince you that you need all this stuff. Divest. People,